Hey TBR family, welcome to Season 2 of the Banded Retreat Podcast. I'm B, and this is a family-friendly podcast about all things outdoors.
I'm Ryan, and the Banded Retreat's mission is to bring faith, family, and legacy into everything we do. And let's get ready for another episode with you.
What is up, TBR family? I'm so excited for this next episode. Today, I'm with B, and we're excited for what this episode is going to bring. You know, I've been thinking this week and just about what we were going to talk about. And, you know, we're believers, and Christmas is right around the corner. And coming off of Thanksgiving, we're just thankful for what God's blessed us with and what he's given us. And there's actually a scripture in James that says, every good and perfect gift comes from above, from the Father of heavenly lights, who doesn't change. And I'm thankful that God has blessed us with a community of friendship, a brotherhood, even that we find in hunting and going to church and just being brothers. And we see that in the hunting blind. We see that all around. And we've had some incredible encounters already in this season as Second Split has come to an end.
Yeah.
And we took a new guy out. And so we've got a lot to talk about this episode. I'm just excited for what God's given us. It's a good gift to have friendship, to have family, to have faith, to have legacy, all those things.
Well, I think you hit on a good point. You know, just thankful for the brotherhood that waterfowl brings. You know, it's you know, we talked about taking Logan. Logan's the new guy that we took out, and he'd never been waterfowl hunting before. Is a hunter, but hasn't been waterfowl hunting. And you know, his dad he grew up in a hunting family, but waterfowl was something that he was attracted to, I guess, by just being associated with us. And you know, and it's a passion for us, and got the opportunity to take him out. But I guess when we talk about brotherhood, it's funny, you and I talk about this, but when we put these mics in front of us, it's just another conversation that we're having. I mean, I don't know that I've said it before, but when I wake up, well, actually before I go to bed, before a hunting night, you and I will talk probably an hour about a scheme or a plan, where we're going to go, where we're going to meet, when we're going to meet. And then I get up, and, you know, by that time it's probably 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. And then I know kind of what time you're going to be up and out of the house so you can talk.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you a call, or you'll give me a call, and we'll talk all the way there.
Yeah, we'll rehash all the same things we talked about the night before, plus more.
Yeah, and then we talk when we get there. We talk at the ramp, and then we talk on the boat. We try to actually talk over the motor.
That's right.
We just talk all the time. And sometimes it's not about waterfowl. It's not about anything specific. It's like we
conversate a lot. Yeah, I mean, well, and the thing is like, as soon as I get back in my truck to head home, you get back in your truck to drive your, you know, it's typically an hour and 15-minute commute home. We talk about we call each other, talk about the hunt.
And then, you know, what's funny is like our wives will beep in and be like, hold on, this is Rachel.
Yeah.
This is Crystal.
Yeah.
And then you'll talk to me. I got Ryan on the other. She's like, you've been together the whole time. Like, what else is there to talk about? Yeah. And there's plenty to talk about.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a brotherhood that comes with that, and a friendship that really develops. And I think there was the hunt we took Logan on. B came from a different side of the county, actually, into it.
Different side of the river.
Yeah, and so me and Logan, we got up early. He met at my house. We ended up, we drove to the hunting spot. It took about 30 minutes to get to the boat ramp, the launch. And what was cool about that morning, above any other morning, was we called you and talked to you, and heading down that way. We lose signal because cell phone signal's spotty. But it was actually the eclipse.
Yes.
And so the first time Logan got to go hunting with us, he's never been on a boat at 4:30 in the morning. Yep. So the fog's rolling off the water, and then we look back, and the moon is starting to get eclipsed, and it's turning red because, you know, as it starts getting, and it's like we had two dawns that morning. I mean, it's like it turns pitch black, the stars, and shooting stars.
Shooting stars, yeah.
And we're driving to be. Well, anyway, I've got a jet motor, And so we had to stop like 25 times because the leaves and the grass was just high. I couldn't see it because it's so foggy. But we finally get to you and get that morning started off. But man, what an incredible morning, seeing the stars, shooting stars. I mean, just
It was one to remember for sure.
Absolutely.
Even if we went and didn't kill anything, having Logan there, teaching a new person what we do and them seeing it and getting the experience. Plus, on top of that, the solar system doing a crazy thing.
oh man, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see God's glory. I mean, it was just incredible.
What's funny is I saw a shooting star this morning too.
Did you? That's crazy.
And I thought my initial thought was like, how fast are we actually moving?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really it makes you wonder. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so fast because if you've ever seen one, you'd almost get second guess that you even saw it.
Yeah.
And then it kind of hits you, but it's very, very fast moving. But yeah. So anyway, we got out there. You trolleyed me over. You trolleyed me over. We left Logan on the bank because Logan at that. The whole concept is that I would get over there and start setting up decoys, start setting up pastor's blind, all that stuff, and get a set. And then you trolley back over, get Logan.
Yeah.
And then go back to the island. But Logan was on the other side putting on new pair waders.
Yeah,
he
did. Yeah, because the way it worked is if I would have met B on the other side of the place, it would have took me an hour and 15 minutes to get there. So my thought was I'll drive 30 minutes, get on the boat, and meeting him with the boat over there. That took a little longer, and then of course we're public land hunting, and so you see the dreaded spotlights on the spot that you think you're going to hunt. And so I end up taking Logan over to the bank with you, and we talk about a plan. Like we just got to go to where we can hunt.
I mean, at that point it was a little later, and we were like, just got to do something, pick it and go.
And that's what we did. We didn't even set up in the boat blind and all that. We set up on the bank because we had to, and we had to walk in a little ways. Mm-hmm. And so we got the decoys throughout. We got everything sitting. It's a beautiful morning again. It's like the double dawn because, it was a full moon and then the moon's gone and then the sun comes up. And so sunrise happens. It's right before sunrise, and we have a mallard actually hover over the decoys before shooting light. We didn't shoot.
It's like 3 minutes before.
We didn't shoot. We did it the right way. And Logan got to see that. And then as day breaks, man, they start flying.
Birdie. It got real birdie.
It got, ducky quick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I've told people that story a couple times now. It's the most birds I've seen, in West Virginia. I've definitely took more shots than I've ever taken in West Virginia.
Absolutely.
On that day. But we had... we had some pass-by shots early, and we had some of them do it right. I mean, ultimately, you shoot good sometimes, and you don't shoot good the others. I personally have a hard time with the first shot of the day.
Yeah. I
mean, I just get so jacked up. I mean, it's what you're there for, and then, on top of that, where we're at, that might be your only opportunity, so you just get – I don't know if it's pressure, if it's excitement – and then, once that kind of happens, it's like, okay, let's calm down. We're going to get another opportunity, especially where we were.
Yeah.
And we had mallards on the other side, on both sides of us, quacking and
feeding, calling.
Oh my goodness, man! And so, we get a couple good shots on a group, a small. I think there was 3 in that group, and so we. You put one down. It wasn't even crippled.
Yeah.
And I was contemplating not sending Pastor after it because I knew so many birds were around. And it was kind of, I mean, you want to think it's still water there, but once you see that bird start getting away, I mean, you were like, hey, I think that we should probably go ahead and get that one.
Yeah.
While we can. And so I sent Pastor, and I knew when he turned around, and I knew it wasn't a mallard.
Yeah.
When we saw it floating.
Yeah.
Thought maybe a wood duck.
Yeah.
Thought maybe it was a wood duck, and Pastor grabs it, and then he comes back. He's probably about 20 feet away from it. And he kind of flips the head over, dude.
Yeah.
And I see green and gray and white, and I'm like, that's a Wigeon.
Yeah.
It's a Wigeon, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was an awesome moment, especially for me. I go back to, I think it was probably 6 years ago. And again, species of birds, we've talked about it a lot. We're not North Carolina. We're not the coast. We don't see as many species. We get mallards. That's what we end up doing. There's a lot of mergansers,
Woodies.
and woodies. Yeah. I mean, typically that's occasional black duck, and some things that we've seen. But really, I've hunted 9 years now, I guess is what it is. And in that 9 years, that's the first widgeon I've ever seen. I mean, I'd seen put down in a blind with us on that occasion, and so 5 years or 6 years before that, I had one shot on a widgeon in North Carolina, and I went back to that moment. It's me and CJ and Aaron's in the blind, and the guide's like, man, it's a widgeon, and I'm like, oh man, I get the last shot on it. It's a terrible shot above my head. I miss. We all missed. It was like, man, and I'm like, man, there went my cotton top. I ain't gonna get another chance. I'm gonna have to come back. So fast forward that to that day of the blood moon and all that, and got to put down a widgeon drake. It's a stud drake. It was awesome, cotton top, and retrieved it, and there with Logan and with you, it was an incredible experience.
It was a cool moment. Well, we had two go down in that group. And again, I guess I don't know why it didn't dawn on me, but those came in together, and we had one wounded that did get away.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but I was trying to water swat that thing, and I probably spent $20 on that thing trying to get it down, and I didn't. I mean, just didn't.
Well, the bird was knocked down. He was just swimming out, and we kind of focused on the right bird sending past her, and then the left bird started swimming, so we tried to water swat it to get it killed.
And I've got shot cam footage.
Yeah.
You sit there and watched it. I mean, the water was blown up all over that bird, and it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen. So Pastor was having an off day that day.
Yeah.
And I tried to send him out after it, and that particular place had somewhat of a channel in it, and so there was like some thick grass, and I mean it's not like lily pads, but that thick grass, it's probably not what you guys, if you're listening to this, unless you're in our terrain, you probably wouldn't. I don't know. I haven't seen it anywhere.
Yeah,
else,
it's
really.
just like it's a river grass that
it's
grows
real
up.
thick.
It's thick on the top.
Yeah, and then on the bottom you got mud. So if you're walking through it, your knees are going to get tangled up in the grass, and your feet are going to get stuck in the mud. So it's a tough terrain. So and I'm trying to help Pastor out here with this, but he gets across into the channel, and I don't know. There was some confusion.
Well, absolutely. Well, and the thing is I range found that that morning it's 128 yards to the other side. We're on an island, but it was 128 yards to that bank.
Yeah.
So that bird got knocked down over the decoys. We went for the right bird, and then this is the second bird.
Right.
So that bird's alive, moving on. I mean, he's down. He can't, but he makes his way to that bank. Pastor's trying to get after him, but it's a long retrieve. I mean, you can't really expect so much. Plus, there is some moving water in that current, so the bird swims away to the other bank.
Right. And so, I mean, I take full responsibility of it. I mean, I was not setting him up for success.
Yeah.
I haven't probably worked him as much on the off season as I should have, but in the end, we make a decision to take the boat over to the other side, and you and I get out, and Logan was left back at the decoys, and like you said, it was what'd you say? It was 185,
128,
128.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we get over to the other side, and I was like, well, let's just take Pastor. I mean, at the end of the day, if he just can flush it, as long as he's running around, maybe you can get some movement and then at least see where the bird is. And so we did the right thing. We went after it. And you took one side, and I took the other side, and I took Pastor, and I, just gave him a 100-up little command, and he was, had nose to the ground. And then he kind of got out of my sight, and then I start seeing commotion from a bush, and then that bird jumps out into the water. I put a kill shot on it about 15 yards and send him out after it. And again, it was like not thinking anything of it, even though we'd already killed one widgeon. So Pastor goes and grabs it. Again, that head flip, whenever he flips his head, man, I was like, oh, it's the female. It's the female widgeon.
We killed the pair.
Yeah. And so I'm yelling at you, and I'd fallen, actually. I fell. My arm was wet, and I said, I was yelling at you. I was, Ryan, I got the widgeon. And we were so far apart, I don't think
I couldn't even hear,
So we get back to the boat, and we celebrated that, and get back to Logan, and and so just to speed things up in this story here,
Yeah.
we got back and got settled and calmed down a little bit, and you and I, like, at this point, you and I were like, anything else is icing on the cake.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, we got what we came for. That was actually the comment that was made.
Yeah.
And so we actually had 2 mallards work in.
Yeah.
Pastor did redeem himself,
Yeah.
on that one, and got a hen come through and
the drake.
and
Yeah.
knocked those down, and Pastor was nice and steady and went out there and got it and actually delivered to Logan, which was a pretty cool thing.
Oh yeah, and that Logan, as it was his first time, of course, and you might have seen that video on Instagram. You posted it as a story just the other day, or a couple weeks ago, and so he said that was one of his favorite things, was watching a dog retrieve to his hand. And then he had the story. We might have been there. Sometimes, when you kill a duck for the first time or you retrieve a duck, we have finishers. But Pastor delivered it to Logan. Logan sets the bird behind him. The bird the hen gets up and starts walking away. Logan's like, "Where'd it go?" And so he turns around and he's looking for the bird. So he's got to run back and get the bird. And then I hear him yell, because we're trying to get the drake now at this point. He's like, "Ryan, the thing's it's alive. It ran from me." And so I'm like, "Go get the finisher." So I showed him how to finish one, and it was a funny morning. Good taking a new guy out hunting, and a lot of brotherhood, and an experience of a lifetime, really, because a blood moon happens. It's not often seeing shooting stars and then killing a Wigeon in West Virginia.
Oh, it was
it doesn't.
Heck of a day. And and to hear Logan, talk about Pastor like that, it makes me proud. And I was actually went out this morning, and had hunted with a couple guys, one new guy, and then a guy that I've met down in Virginia, and going back to brotherhood.
Yeah.
I moved to Virginia 7 or 8 years ago, and so when I started waterfowl hunting, I had to kind of get myself into that, some group, or just do it by myself, and didn't really want to do it by myself down there. And so I met a couple guys down there who now I consider brothers, and we do the planning and the scheming and the calling and all that stuff, and so anyway, I was out with him this morning, and this is the first time we've hunted together this year, and Pastor's there, and we knocked down 2 hooded mergansers.
Yeah.
And so Pastor again was, had a fire day. If we'd have knocked down 20 of them, he'd have shown off. But Pastor was nice and steady, and waited for my command, and I gave him command. He went right to the bird and retrieved those, and it was nice, but it was funny because it reminded me when you said that about Logan. Sumner's is the guy's name. He said, "Man, I even forgot Pastor was even there." He's like, "It's awesome." He said, I'd kill anything just to watch that dog go out and get it." And then the other guy, new guy, hadn't really hunted with a dog much, and he got to see. He was like, I usually have to take my boat out, and so you have that whole conversation. Makes me proud of the dog, and I'll say, if you have a dog and a hunting dog specifically, and you're listening to this podcast, give them a break, man.
Yeah.
They have bad days just like we do. I was really, really frustrated with him that day of the Wigeon kill. But he has his days. But today he was on fire, and I believe that the rest of the season he'll be solid and good to go.
Absolutely, it's just part of it. Like you said, we all have good days and bad days. As I was thinking about just being with new guys and taking new guys hunting, it brings me back to that thought of brotherhood, and that just every good thing comes from the Father above, and really friendships and relationships, they're from God. I believe that for the moment, and then especially around Thanksgiving just finishing up and Christmas coming, it reminds me of this. It's you're more blessed to give than it is to receive.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we as hunters, we love the kill, we love that, but it is a new experience, and it is very just an awesome moment in time when you take somebody new and they get to experience it for the first time, and the things that maybe we take for granted, even setting up decoys and all those things. It's like that experience of riding the boat and all those things. some people's never experienced that, and so it's good to give that to other people and them to ignite a passion in them to be hunters. And some, maybe their parents took them, maybe they didn't. For us, our parents didn't take us hunting, but it's good to be that, because I'm thankful for a friend who took me hunting one day and made me fall in love with waterfowl hunting.
Yeah, I mean, and it's you and I had a friendship before I was ever even a waterfowler.
Yeah.
And, football, Virginia Tech football brought us together. And if we were doing Virginia Tech football podcast, we wouldn't have much to talk about this year.
Yeah.
But we got close with that. And then the waterfowl was just, again, icing on the cake, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it has brought us even closer, and I'm thankful for that. And I guess, just to kind of add to what you're saying, about the Christmas time, and I know it's a hard time for some people, and it does bring families together, and sometimes that puts a struggle on families that have been broken. But I guess what I would say, and the thing that kind of the Lord has placed on my heart, especially in this this December, is be thankful for what you have.
Absolutely.
Be thankful for what you have, not what you don't have. And I think it's easy, especially around this time when you're being asked to give somebody a list, and what do you want, or what do we want to buy you, and somebody's just buying to buy.
Yeah.
And just be thankful for what you do have.
Absolutely.
That's what the Lord's placed on my heart.
Well, I'd say this, I preached a sermon. I'm a pastor, and I preached a sermon last week, and it was about being generous and generosity. And one thing that I think is incredible, and last night, actually, my wife and my middle son went out to 4 different stores to get, we're providing Christmas for over 250 kids who are in the foster system, who have been abused through 4 different agencies in our community. And it was very moving to see my middle son finally get it, that he's blessed.
Yeah.
That he's blessed, and because of that, we get to bless 2 little girls who don't have it, who don't have parents possibly, or who are in a foster care system, and when I looked at their list, it's like it was underwear, it's a new jacket, it's shoes,
It just seems so basic,
a coloring book.
Yeah.
It's like, man, we're blessed. I'm thankful to be where I am doing what I'm doing. And for all of you who are listening, be generous with what God's given you, and be sure to think of your brother and think of your friend in this season, because you never know. You don't know somebody who's hurting. You could give that encouraging word. If you have extra, maybe don't buy 5 video games for your kids that was going to sit on the shelf. Maybe buy 4 and give some other kids something that they can enjoy.
No, that's good.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at The Banded Retrieve.
Or you can reach out to us directly by emailing us at info@thebandedretrieve.com. And as always, happy hunting.